Go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitai, are you there?
I'm on my way, so if you can wait for a minute, I'm already here. All right. Can you hear me all right?
And Nitin Bhai's witty humor is always there. Yes. Okay, we can hear you.
Thank you for the wonderful session, Ajay and Sunil Bhai. I love whatever I could catch of the journaling, Padmaji's and part of Anshumanji. Very thought-provoking and very, very meticulously articulated. So thank you so much for that. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Radhe Radhe Amrutamani ji. You want to make some announcements before we get started, or?
You can do the starting prayers and then.
All right. So good morning, good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day or had a great day. Let's get started. Today we are going to do a crash course, okay, as best as we possibly can in a 60-minute on Bhagavad Gita. We go one verse a day in our sessions. And today's session, we will just do a fast track. We'll go pick up some selected verses and go through it and see some of the quick learnings, out of it. So it's more of a crash course like we have, like Rapidix English course. It's like a fast track Bhagavad Gita is what we're going to do. It's an opportunity to reflect on some of the key learnings that we've had, and also the fact that we've completed 1 year. It's not a small feat for sure, and accolades must go to all the participants who've been pretty consistent coming in and lending impetus and inspiration to each other here. Okay, let me share my screen and we'll get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, everybody, once again. Hope you all can switch on your cameras today. We're going to spotlight, because once we recite the shlokas, like we discussed yesterday, it's a good opportunity to put names to faces, faces to names rather. And also it will be good if you can come on screen and take initiative in reciting some of the shlokas. I picked up around 18 to 19 verses, 18 plus 1, and we will go quickly through those and some of the quick learnings from those shlokas, and kind of trying to get a gist of Bhagavad Gita in as best as we possibly can in the next 60 minutes or so. Amrutamani, is there anything else in particular you wanted to call out, because we have this special session and requesting participants to turn on their videos as well?
Yes, Natanji. Radhe Radhe, everyone. There is a request. Those who are interested for the Bhagavad Gita summit, which is coming up on 14th, we do have the 700 shlokas will be recited in the temple. So whoever's interested, you can send us a video sitting in front of your puja mandir, holding the Bhagavad Gita book or having any other book. You can recite 3 verses and you can send the recording. Those recordings will be shown when we are doing the Parayan. So please see, whoever can do it, please do it. And today, when you are reciting the verse, if you have the book, so please make sure you have the book in your hand, so that it's like you hold it like this when you're reading it. See that you hold it like this. So you will have to read 3 verses, so that it should be at least minimum of 40 seconds. So I hope I'm clear. If anything else, you can let me know, and I will post the email ID where you have to send the videos.
All right. Thank you for that guidelines, Amrutawani ji. It's a little way of, and getting engaged in this seva, where, the participants, they can get inspired. And as we go through the shlokas today, the cherry is on the top, okay, towards the end. And we'll see how a little bit of seva, especially around, disseminating or becoming an instrument in disseminating the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, whether it's through inspiring somebody, or becoming an instrument to get somebody to start reading Bhagavad Gita or doing recitations, it can go a long way in giving impetus to our spiritual journey. And we'll see why, what Lord Krishna is talking about that as well. So with that, let's get started.
Sorry to interrupt, Nitinji. And one small thing,
Mhm.
when you are reciting, I mean, when the participants, when you are reciting the 3 verses now, when I'm spotlighting, we will not be able, I mean, the screen sharing will not be available. So you will have to either look from your book or from the phone.
All right. You
Sorry.
just thickened the plot, Bhavani. All right. So let's get started then. So it is the first anniversary, first of probably half a dozen anniversaries we are likely to have of a Bhagavad Gita. So let's look at it in a bit of a perspective, right? So 1 year, pretty much close to 52 weeks, give or take 5 weeks, you can reduce, right? Because of the breaks that we have had, because of the ongoing programs or otherwise. So 45 weeks roughly is what we have spent. And then if it roughly translates to, okay, pardon my math if I get it wrong, but okay, 200 plus hours, I would say, 1 hour session like we have, which roughly translates to about 10 days. Okay, 10 days of continuous manthan or contemplation on Bhagavad Gita is what we have done. When I say 10 days, it's not one kalp like Brahma's, okay? It includes the night as well. So if we take only the daytime, it's 20 days actually. Furthermore, we have had an average of, I was looking at the trends, we have gone from, we started off with 35 odd participants and went up to, 100, 100 plus 120 at any given point in time. 60 to 70 have been consistent, participants, because of now the timing has changed. 15, 20 are float, they're not able to make it. But at any point in time, we have had, around 70 plus participants, which roughly translates to about 15,000 plus hours, which is close to 2 years of Bhagavad Gita studying combined that we have done. So it's pretty amazing if you look at some of these numbers. And kudos to all of you, and a heartfelt gratitude from my side, because it means a lot when you put in your 60 minutes and trust, though your 60 minutes time is life, I would say. Time is money, they say, but time is life. When you entrust those 60 minutes with me, and that motivates me as well. And I've been learning a lot, as part of this journey with each one of you. So big gratitude. Let's get started. We'll do a quick round of, 18 shlokas, which will cover a lot of philosophy that we've been discussing about. So we'll do the format we'll follow is we'll do the recitation, we'll do a quick translation and a bit of discussion around that, quick discussion, because we have like 18 shlokas to cover. And then you can raise your hand, and if you don't get a chance, you pick up the next shloka. Like Amrutavani ji called out, if you have your book, keep it handy, because I may have to stop share if we have to spotlight you. Okay, so let me know and we'll get started with our first shloka. Welcome everybody again. Let's get started. So the first one that we picked up is, we'll get started from there, who we are. Okay, 213, Lord Krishna goes on in Sankhya Yoga, explains that to Arjun, first of all, when you are lamenting, understand who you are. He introduces the concept of soul, and then he says, this is the process all of us have to go through. Who is that I? Think about that I. So the first shloka, all right, I can see a couple of hands. Today I'll take a back seat and let you do that so that, we can have more participants cover. So can I stop share? Do you have your reference or do you want to see the screen? Please announce that as well before you get started.
Srivatsan, will you be able to do it with the book? Okay.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So I'll stop share for a bit then and get the spotlight on you. Let's get started. Dehinosmin yatha dehi. Wonderful. Yes, please go ahead. Sorry about that.
Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice. Very nice. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the shloka, and this is the format we'll follow, okay, from each shloka. Now in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, just as the embodied soul continuously passes from childhood to youth to old age, similarly at the time of death, the soul passes into another body. The wise are not deluded by this. It's just like changing clothes, Lord Krishna is saying. So if you look at your old picture when you were a kid, and then you morphed into a youth, and whatever age we are in right now, I won't want to call it old to everyone, or myself included. We know that I was constant. Who was that I? Even though the body has changed, who was that I? That is the I that Lord Krishna is saying is our true identity. And since we are in this embodied soul, we have to go through this cycle of childhood, youth, old age, and at the time of death, it's just like changing bodies, cross bodies, nothing else changes. And wise who understand this principle, they don't get deluded by it and mourn when somebody dies. It's just moving on from one body to another. Let's move on to our next shloka. You get a bit of a time, so take a look at it. Who wants to take this one? And let me know. I can stop share, and when you are ready to recite. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukh dukkhada. Do we have any?
You can go ahead, Preeti. I will just
Yes.
spotlight you. You can, yeah, she can do it. I think you can stop sharing.
Wonderful.
We can do it with the book. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agamapayino nityaha tanstitikshasva bharata. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful, Preeti. Tantitikshasva. I still remember that word. All right. Yeah, we did a bit of a discussion on that one. I remember that. All right. So in this one, Lord Krishna is saying how the dynamics or the mechanics of how we get attached. This whole life, we have two predominant feelings. Either we are in rag, which is attachment, which is hankering for something, or we are in dvesh. We want to avoid something. And those feelings Lord Krishna is calling as fleeting feelings. And how do those arise? They arise when our senses, those panchendriya that we have, in fact, it is called the sixth indriya, mind, when they come in contact with the sense objects. And then this feeling is the word that is being used is fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. And Lord Krishna is saying, as we can vet through our experience, that these are non-permanent. They come and go like winter and summer seasons. You just have to ride those as opposed to getting stuck on those. And he's saying one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Remember that pendulum? If you sway on one side, you are actually gaining energy to sway to the other side. So the more you are in equilibrium, the more you are able to tolerate it with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge that these are non-permanent and these are fleeting, whether you are being happy or sad, then it becomes very dear to God. We start drawing a lot of grace, and he says that is how you need to progress, as opposed to playing to the whims of our senses. The moment they get attached with its sense objects, whether it's distress or happiness, you have to learn to ride those. All right, let's move on to the next one now. Do we have anybody who wants to take this? This is a very important shloka.
We have Udayji, and he has a book also. So
all right, Udayji, please go ahead. I'm going to stop share then.
Which shloka? Sorry.
This shloka is chapter 2, verse 23.
One second.
No worries.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, na chainam kledayanti apo, na soshayati marutah. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much, Udayji. Good to see you. It's the first time I think I'm getting to see you. I'm glad we're having this session. It's always good, relate to the voices that I've been hearing all along. So thank you so much for that. Let's go back to the shloka. Now in this, Lord Krishna is saying the quality or the attributes of the soul. The weapons cannot shed the soul, nor can fire burn it. Water cannot wet it, nor can the wind dry it. Essentially what it says, the material apparatus.
I cannot see the screen.
Oh, I didn't share it. Sorry about that. Okay, let me do that. Right, sorry about that. So Lord Krishna is saying all the material things that are typically all the material laws which are applicable to the gross objects, they do not have any effect on the soul. That is how special we are. Okay. Now soul, as it is explained as well, it is basically if it is a tip of a hair, if you cut it into 1,000 parts, and each part, you take one part of it and cut it into further 1,000 parts. That is how minuscule soul is, and it is seated in the heart region, in our heart. That is why when we feel very overjoyed or over anxious, there's a pain that we feel near this region. And that is what the soul is. And soul is so subtle and it is divine in nature that weapons cannot shred it. Basically, nothing can destroy it. It is an entity that stays. It is Jivatma, like God. It is an eternal entity which does not go anywhere. It simply transmigrates from one body to another once we leave this body, which is technically called death. So we are not going anywhere. It's like energy. It can neither be created nor be destroyed. We simply move from one body to another. And that's pretty much it. Okay. And this shloka is very, very important to understand the eternity and the eternal entity that we are. So when we think somebody has departed, actually they have just shed the gross body. They will continue to live. So will we, like God. Okay, so that is a very, very comforting shloka from that sense. Whenever we get distressed, whenever we are, that deluge of sadness that overcomes us in these kind of situations, remind yourself this shloka, and it will give you a lot of comfort and soothe you as well. Let's move on to the next one. If somebody wants to take it, this is Karmanyavadhikaraste. It's a very, very famous shloka, so I'm sure a lot of you will be able to. So Amrutamani ji, you need to call out whoever who can do this with a book or otherwise.
Rupaji, will you be able to do it? Do you have the book?
Yes, ma'am. Just I'm just opening
247. 247.
Yeah, 47. Yeah. Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Radhe Radhe. Next is 263. I'm giving a heads up, okay, in case you want to pull up your shloka. All right.
Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturvhu ma te sangotva karmani. Radhe Radhe.
Good to see you, Rupaji. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe. So this shloka, we spent about a week going through this shloka. This is the shloka which we have heard a lot and is basically related to Karam Yoga. Okay. This one shloka, if we can actually anchor our life around it, that's it. God realization is sure shot. Lord Krishna says if you can practice and perfect Karam Yoga, it would basically perfect your surrender as well, and then you can actually complete your God realization through that as well. So what he's saying is, you have a right to perform your duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits. So every action, we have an opportunity to detach ourselves from the result. It's not something that will come automatically, but with concerted effort and proper knowledge, if we start practicing it, we'll start getting better at it. There is no doubt about it. And when we do that, then what happens is basically, we do not incur any binding karma. It's only our attachment which leads to a binding karma. And even otherwise, we simply have to accept, our actual position in the grand scheme of things. We are not the cause or the results of our activities. And at the same time, we don't need to get attached to inaction. That doesn't mean stop doing everything. Lord Krishna has explained that very clearly, that not even for a second we can be without any action. And that shloka is going to come up as well. But the key is, do your best. Focus on the process, but detach yourself from the results. And if you pick up on any people, even the sports people, we looked at it, a couple of examples, MS Dhoni, Michael Phelps, and a lot of people, they talk about process and not being attached to the outcome. And when you start bringing that approach to your life, then you will see all of a sudden that anxiety will subside and you will be able to perform at your optimal best. So that is a very, very powerful shloka. And this is something that we can practice on a day-to-day basis, because in everything, there is some kind of a subtle attachment out there, which causes us anger, frustration, anxiety, and results in our subpar performance as well. Let's move on to the next one, which is related to anger. We spent a good amount of time on this one as well. It's 263. Anybody who wants to take that? I'm again going to stop share for that.
Shrutiji, do you have book?
No, I don't. No.
So will you be able to read it?
Yeah, I'll try it from the screen.
Okay, you want to do it from the screen? No worry. Let me pull out my screen then. Sure, go ahead, please.
Pardon me if I'm not like
No worry.
fluent. Sorry. Okay. Krodad bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibha vibha
Vibhram.
vibhrama samriti bhrasha
Bhanshad.
Shad. Okay, Smriti Bhanshad Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashyati. Sorry for that.
No worries, no worries. So
Sorry,
you tried?
it was
You tried?
miserable.
No, that was good.
Yeah.
You tried. No worries. So yes, it's again an important shloka. Is there anybody else who wants to do that as well, who has a book in his hand? If not, okay, let me get to that. So it is Krodad Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama Smriti Bhranshad Buddhi Nasho Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. So we have so many self-help books available. When it comes to Bhagavad Gita, it actually attacks or goes directly to the root. That is the beauty of this, right? So for all the things that we hear about, good things that we get attracted towards, or we feel, wow, what a concept. If you go to Bhagavad Gita, it peels 10 layers, it goes 10 layers deeper. So in this particular shloka, Lord Krishna is explaining exactly how this mechanics of the anger, it unfolds. It leads to clouding of judgment. It all happens fairly quickly in nanoseconds. First of all, your judgment will be clouded, which will result in the bewilderment of your memory, where you will forget, okay, what you're doing, why you're doing, when your memory is bewildered, the intellect gets destroyed. Intellect is our governing faculty, which directs our mind, and mind in turn directs our senses. And when the intellect is destroyed, one is ruined. So there have been situations where people, when they are angry, they have gone on to even kill people. Right? There's a story, Swamiji says, there was a family in UP. Their brother killed another brother just because this guy was walking with his mustache, in a direction that did not go well with him. So point here being, whenever the anger comes, our judgment gets impaired, and our memory gets bewildered, our intellect gets destroyed, and anything can happen. Basically, a man and an animal, there is absolutely no difference at that point. That is how terrible anger is. And we spent a good amount of a week discussing this topic and the tools and techniques how to get better at it. So let's move on to the next one.
Lakshmiji, if you can unmute yourself.
It's chapter 3, shloka 5.
1 minute. Radhe Radhe.
Take your time. Chapter 3, shloka 5. You can take that. And it is again a very, very important shloka where it explains how we are compelled. Word is compelled. Okay. It's an autopilot for most part, unless we will get into a little bit of a detail. But if you can read this out, it's chapter 3, 3, 5. And I'm going to stop share for a bit.
Yeah. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma kruta karyate hyavashaha karma sarvaha prakruti jairgunaiha. Radhe Radhe.
No worries. Very nice. Thank you so much for trying it out. Great attempt. So let's go back to the shloka. It says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karmakrit karyate hyavasha karma sarva prakriti jairgune. So there's no one who can remain without action even for a moment. Indeed, all beings are compelled to act by their qualities born of material nature, the 3 gunas. So the key concept here is we think of action only when our senses or our karma indriyas are engaged, right? We perform an action. Lord Krishna is actually saying action is not just, when you are doing something mechanically. Action, even a thought, is an action. And nobody can be without an action even for a minute. Okay, it's very powerful. Now, if we are not without an action even for a minute, and our mind, which is a factory which keeps on generating thoughts, then it is imperative on us to make that factory such that it produces thoughts or actions. Basically, thoughts are actions which are conducive for our spiritual growth. That is why the buck stops at working on your mind, solidifying your intellect, and empowering your intellect with proper knowledge. So there is absolutely nothing. And what will mind think? Mind will think based on the predominant guna that we have. And where do those gunas come from? Those gunas come from the kind of choices we have made in the past. So there's no escape from this mind. So if we have led a life predominantly in sattva, or say predominantly in rajas mode in previous lives, that will be a predominant guna. However, we do have an ability to override that guna. So autopilot is there by default. De facto setting is through gunas. However, we do have an ability to override our guna through our intellect, as long as we have armed it with proper knowledge. So that is the key concept here. The important point here to understand is that we are compelled to act by our gunas, and Lord Krishna says your odds of success are more if you understand your guna, predominant guna, and dovetail in the direction of service of God. For example, Arjuna, he's a Kshatriya and he's saying, I will go to forest and take sannyas. Lord Krishna says, no, you are a Kshatriya. First understand, you will be compelled by your nature. Even if you go to a forest, you will form a small army and start fighting the people around. So it's better you first understand what your guna is and then dovetail it towards for the pleasure of God, as opposed to trying to imitate somebody else, because then you will be neither here nor there. Let's move on to the next one. This is chapter 4, verse 9. It is a very, very important verse. One of my favorite verses. Who wants to take that up? Chapter 4, verse 9. I can stop share if somebody can pull it up and wants to go.
Shamji?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shamji.
4:9. Yeah. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Janma karma cha me divyam eva vo veti tattvataha tva vaktva deha punarjanma neti mameti sorjuna. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shamji. Always good to see you and hear you. So let's go back. So this shloka says, Janma karma cha me divyam yo veti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti sorjuna. Basically says, those who understand the divine nature of my birth and activities, O Arjuna, upon leaving the body, do not have to take birth again, but come to my eternal abode. It's a bit of a chicken and egg situation Lord Krishna is creating here. He's saying those who understand the divine nature of my birth and activities, they will, upon leaving this body, they will come to my eternal abode. Now, how will we understand? So first of all, the key concept here to understand is, when God descends, he's not an ordinary mortal like us, even though he might be doing a Nar Leela, right? When Lord Ram came, if people say he was in a Nar Chola, he was an ordinary being, no, that is not the case. Similarly, when Lord Krishna came, he was not an ordinary human at that point, right? Some of the philosophies, especially in Gyan Marg, they say when Brahma comes under the influence of Maya, then he takes an avatar. That's not the case. And Lord Krishna is very clearly saying here that his birth, he's not hanging upside down his mother's womb for 9 months. He just appears. And his activities, they are actually divine. We cannot dissect it with our mundane, ordinary intellect. Now, the reason I said chicken and egg situation, how would you know that? If you are actually purified to an extent where you can understand he's God, you've actually completed your God realization. And God is saying, if you can understand it, then you come to my abode. So point being, he's telling, purify yourself to an extent where you can actually understand who I am. And once we understand that, basically, he will lay a red carpet for you in his eternal abode. But key concept in this shloka is, Lord, when he descends, even though he may look like human, but then his birth is divine and his activities are also divine. So let's not put our small intellect to dissect those leelas, right? And say, by the way, this doesn't make sense. Why did Ram do that? Why did Krishna do that? No, that's not the point. Instead, pray that those leelas start making sense to us and, draw his grace and acquire that purity that is needed to progress spiritually. Let's move on to the next one. This is again a very important shloka, okay, which is going to address a very important question that a lot of people come up with. So who wants to take that? It is chapter 4, shloka 34.
Ananda Bhaiya, would you like to?
Ananda Bhaiya, you want to do that?
You are unmuted, Bhaiya.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Ananda Bhaiya. Good to see you after a while.
Nitin Bhai, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You want to take this shloka?
Yes, I will take the help of screen.
Okay, you take the help of screen. All right.
Yes.
I'll
Just a minute. I'm reading from my mobile phone.
sure. Please go ahead.
Tad Viddhi. एक second.
1 second means 1 second, by the way. Okay. For those of you who don't understand Hindi. Okay, it's already 5 seconds, Anandavia.
I'm not able to unmute him. Pritiji, you can please.
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. राधे राधे.
Beautiful. Thank you, PTG. Anandabhaiya will come back to, maybe you can take the next one because we couldn't get you on audio. So hopefully you have sorted out those issues. So this one is a very important shloka. In chapter 2, verse 7, Arjun very smartly says, accept me as your shishya. Basically, he's saying, you are my guru. And in this particular shloka, Lord Krishna is very clearly telling us that tad vidhi pranipaten pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti te jnanam jnanin tattvadarshina. That you need to learn the truth, spiritual truth, by approaching a spiritual master. And furthermore, he goes on to add that you need to inquire from him with reverence and render service unto him. And such an enlightened saint can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Seen the truth means that person has to be God realized himself. And then this basically addresses the question. A lot of people say, why do we need to go through a middleman, right? I've heard this kind of an interesting argument from a lot of people. I will have a direct connect with God. It will not work. Our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam says you have to go through a guru. That is God's principle. You cannot approach God or understand these things all on your own. That is God's rule. It's just like the parents, they ready the girl and finally the husband comes and picks her up. It's the guru who will prepare you, and then when you are ready, the divine love is all yours. And that is God's rule, very clearly laid out in scriptures. You have to go there and surrender your intellect. You cannot do kintu parantu. Your own intellect you cannot use. It's just like when you go to a teacher says knife is K-N-I-F-E. Then you don't argue. Why not knife, right? Similarly, in spiritual, more so important in the spiritual path, you have to approach a master. That master should have 2 qualifications, Shrotriya cha Brahmanisht, well versed in scriptures, and who should have seen the truth. And then when we render service to him and put our intellect at his feet, that is when our spiritual progress will begin. In fact, Guru can actually impart knowledge to you just by a look. He can make you give you the divine love. That is your inheritance. Once we purify ourselves to that extent, just by a look. They don't have to give us a guru mantra or anything of that sort at that point. That is how powerful that association is. But Guru can guide us, but the buck still stops at us, where we have to work on ourselves with a submissive spirit, and then this journey will complete. So very important shloka. Without Guru, absolutely no progress on this path, especially God realization cannot be completed. It's laid out in Bhagavad Gita, and same thing Bhagavatam says as well. Let's move on to the next one. It is a very, again, important shloka. What is the key thing that we need to work on as part of our spirituality? Chapter 6, verse 5. Anybody who can take that with the book? Anand Bhaiya, if your audio is fixed, you want to take this one?
Radhe Radhe Anand Bhaiya, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Amrutan ji and Nitin bhai.
Radhe Radhe.
Uddharedatmanatmanam atmanam avasadyate atmaiva hyatmano buddhir atmaiva ripuratmanah.
Thank you, Anand Bhaiya. Good to hear you after a while. So yes, uddharedatmanatmanam natmananam avasadayet atmev hyatmano bandhu atmev ripuratmana. It says, elevate yourself through the power of your mind and not degrade yourself, for the mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. Very powerful words. The mind, in Kathopanishad, it is said, Maneva Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Mokshayo. It is the mind which is troubling us since time eternity. The day we fix our mind, this job of the spiritual pursuit that we are doing is over. And currently our mind is said to be or told to be by scriptures as our worst enemy. Okay, it's hard to believe, but that is how it is. It will never tell you the things which are truly beneficial for you unless you have practiced it and you have really solidified your intellect and you have a firm conviction that this is what is right for me. Your mind will always lead you astray. It will go after the sense objects. It is like that friend who comes right before your exam and tells you, hey, what are you doing? Why are you studying? Let's go out, watch a movie. Our mind is a bit like that. He'll say, take it easy, go to sleep. What's the hurry? Who has seen life after death? Let's enjoy an extra scoop of ice cream. All those excuses it will give. And finally, even more importantly, it will end up justifying itself. Very nicely, it will justify itself because you are going to ask your mind, did I do it right? Mind will say, of course, you are entitled to it. You deserve it. Okay, that is how our mind is. So as scriptures tell us, elevate yourself with your mind. Do not degrade yourself. And and how do you elevate yourself? You have to train this spoiled child that you have always residing with you. So if you have your enemy in life, right, you'll always be cautious about it. And in this case, that enemy is residing within you all the times. And to make matters worse, we think our identity is synonymous with our mind. We think we are our mind. That is not the case. Scripture says you can read your mind and start training it through austerities and start befriending it. Otherwise, 8.4 million tourism is up for grabs again. Okay, so choice is yours. Let's move on to the next one. It is chapter 7, verse 3. Again, this is a very important shloka. Hopefully, it will address a question that a lot of people come up with from time to time, and I'll touch upon it once we recite that. Anybody who wants to take this? Chapter 7, verse 3.
Dinesh, will you be able to do it?
Yes. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Dinesh. Good to see you.
Yeah. Okay. I can read from my book.
Sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Manusyanam sahasresu kasyatati siddhaye yatatma amapi siddhatanam kaschitvam kechitatvataha. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. Very, very nice. We'll try it. So this was Manushyanam Sahastreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhaye Yatatam Api Siddhanam Kaschan Mam Veti Tattvata. So he says, amongst thousands of persons, hardly one strives for perfection, and amongst those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So next time, if you come across this argument in your head, by the way, these people, it's very difficult to talk them into spirituality. Nobody comes, nobody cares about it. They're too busy in their life, and we talk about it, they don't show any interest. It's very natural. Okay, Lord Krishna is very clearly saying, amongst thousands of persons, hardly one strives. Okay, now the scale that he's using is obviously, we have to understand it in perspective. Hardly one strives for perfection. And even out of those who strive for perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Because if you look at the philosophy, so many philosophies are going on. People, it's like a wild goose chase for most part of their life and across lifetimes. So he says that, first of all, having that spark itself. Now, if we have it, because we do these sessions, you should really hold on to it. It is a huge privilege. It is a huge grace of God. Okay, it's not normal for people to actually get attracted towards this path. Lord Krishna is saying that very clearly. And even after getting attracted, we still have to put in a lot of practice for actually to achieve the perfection that we need. The ratios keep on decreasing there. So don't get surprised if you don't see people getting attracted towards it, right? Sometimes I was hearing, people, it's very difficult to them. They're not. It is very natural. And even if you have gotten motivated, there could be times when your sanskars are not supportive, right? We have a gunas, interplay of gunas throughout. You may also lose motivation as well. But the good thing about spirituality is once that spark is there, it will keep coming back. Because once you taste a little bit of bliss of God, you would realize you have never tasted something like that in anything before in your life, material life, and that will keep pulling you back. But be cautious around that. It's not a path where, it will always be a cakewalk or a downstream swim kind of a deal. Okay, let's move on to the next one now.
Nitinji, there is a question. 8.4 million up for grabs. Did not understand.
Sorry, pardon my lame jokes. Okay, I don't know. Like I say, right, my mouth has a mind of its own. 8.4 million up for grabs means 8.4 million species. We don't get human body always. So you may rotate in 8.4 million species. That is what our scriptures tell us. And it's possible we may become an animal or some other species as well. Because if we don't utilize our human life, then human body is not something that we can take for granted, as a back-to-back birth. That's what our scriptures say. So that was more in a lighter vein. 8.4 million tourism that we are doing. It's a tourism we need to avoid, of course. All right, so let's move on to the next one. All right, so this one is all these, all the shlokas are important, but I picked up the ones which I could easily, I've always resonated with. So hopefully you're getting the gist of it as well. So who wants to take this one? This is chapter 7, shlok 14.
Udayji, please go ahead, Udayji.
Yes, Udayji, please go ahead. I'm going to stop share.
Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite.
Thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I'll encourage other participants to come in as well. Don't worry if you can't get it right. You can follow the English, let the words as well, and do try it. And thank you, Dineshi, for that. So in this one, Devi Hesha Gunamai Mam Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Lord Krishna is very clearly saying that this Maya, which is constituting of these three gunas, it's very difficult to overcome. So when he says difficult, right? When he says opinion, it means principle. When he says very difficult, it means impossible. Okay, God being humble always underplays a few things. Very difficult means it's impossible. You cannot. It's defeating Maya is like defeating God. The only way to defeat Maya is to surrender to the master. It's like that story we talk about, that smoky dog. If you go to your friend's place and smoky dog is there, if you try to ring the bell, he'll come to the front door. Then you try to sneak in through the back door, he'll be there. You try to sneak it through a window, Smokey will come here, there as well. So there's absolutely no escape from Smokey. So the smartest thing to do is call the owner, say, Mr. Suresh, your Smokey is troubling me. He'll say Smokey, and Smokey will wag his tail and sit right next to him. That is the way to overcoming Maya as well. Maya is God's Bahirangi Shakti, the insentient power, right? God has three powers: Jiva Shakti, Bahirangi Shakti, Maya Shakti, which is called Maya Shakti, and Atarangi Shakti, which is Yoga Maya Shakti. So Maya being his energy, if you defeat Maya on your self-effort alone, you sit here, do Kundalini Jagaran, austerities, tapasyas, everything, and you have overcome Maya. That means you have defeated God on your self-effort alone. Not possible. You have to finally surrender, and that is the only way across Maya. In Gyan Yoga, you can overcome a Vidya Maya by your self-effort alone. Vidya Maya, you still cannot overcome. Okay, so that concept is very, very profound. You can make note of it. No matter which path you are following, finally you have to surrender to God in order to overcome Maya. Otherwise, traces of Maya will still remain. And this shloka clearly says that. Let's move on to the next one. Chapter 7, verse 19. It's a very important shloka again. We are going to touch upon the same concept that we just discussed a little while. Anybody who wants to take that? Chapter 8.
Samji, would you like to, Samji?
Try that one. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Samji.
I will look there on the screen, I think.
Oh, you need a screen? Okay.
Yeah, it'll be helpful.
All right. Please go ahead.
Bahunam janmanante janmavam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatatma shudurlabha.
Thank you, Samji. So it says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So he says, after many births of spiritual practice, it's not a one birth game. Many births, and it's not something to get disheartened about. Okay, possible we have already spent a lot of time in spirituality, and that is why we have taken to it like fish takes to water. All these things. But he says after many births of spiritual practice, especially he's talking here about endowed with knowledge on Gyan Marg, they understand finally the game is to surrender to God. In Bhakti Marg, that is the very foundation of this spiritual progress. We say that Billi ka bacha, the cat's, kid, cub, or privilege it's called, and monkey mother's kid, right? It is that example that we keep talking about. So the same thing here. So he says after many births, the Gyanis, they finally understand that you have to surrender to God only. In Bhakti, that is the very foundation to right from the word go. And then Vasudev Sarvamiti, that Vasudev is actually all that is. That understanding dawns. And then he's also saying that soul is indeed very rare. So the beauty of Bhakti path is that you build those sanskars right from the word go. You don't have to take many births and finally realize, all the practices, austerities, penances, Ashtanga Yoga, Kundalini, that all the stuff that I was dabbling with, finally I had to surrender to Krishna. In this case, you start right from the word go. This is baked into your spiritual practice, and it takes a long journey. Bahunam Janman Namante. So again, goes back to address the question that keeps coming up as well. People, they're not interested. Obviously, they'll not be interested. Lord Krishna himself says, right? Sahasreshu, he said, amongst 1,000, one strive for perfection, and amongst one who strives for, few who strive for perfection, very few actually get to know him in truth. Now, here again, he's reiterating that it takes multiple lifetimes for people to understand that eventually they have to surrender. And the beauty of Karam Yoga is that at every point you have an opportunity to surrender and work for the pleasure of God. So through Karam Yoga itself, you can perfect the practice of surrender and achieve the goal of God realization. Let's do the next one. Who wants to take this one? I think we are pretty much towards our last few shlokas. So hopefully we can cover it and have a bit of a discussion as well. Who can take this one?
Sunitji.
Radhe Radhe Sunitji, you want to take this one? Can I stop share?
Radhe Radhe, yeah.
Okay. Always good to see you, Sunitji.
Thank you. 7.
Yes, it is chapter 8, verse 6. Chapter 8, verse 6.
Antakale.
Yeah. Yam yam. Vapi smaran bhavam.
Not good at Hindi.
Chapter 8, verse 6.
6, yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yam yam va api samran bhavam tayati anate kalevaram tam tam ev ati konathe sada tat bhav bhavitam.
Very nice. Appreciate you taking the initiative on this one. Very, very well tried, Sunitji. So let's take this one. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tame vaiti konte sada tat bhava bhavita. So in this one, Lord Krishna is just pay very close attention to this one. He says, whatever one remembers upon giving up the body at the time of death, O son of Kunti, one attains that state, being always absorbed in such contemplation. We looked at that story, Jat Bharat, when he got attached to a deer's kid. So if we are attached to our grandfather or somebody in our family, and that person has decided to take on that 8.4 million tourism and gone down to some other species, be very careful. That is what Lord Krishna is telling us here. So now the other thing is, when I heard the shloka for the first time, I thought, okay, however you lead your life, finally you remember God and the job is done. It's not going to be like so easy. It's like sleeping for 4 years and hoping to win an Olympic gold medal. It's not going to happen. So how the way we lead our life, the dominant thoughts which inhabit our mind for most part of our lives, those are the ones which are played in our mind at the time of our death. So it's like even a parrot, right? It can recite a lot of shlokas and say things, but when you choke its throat, right, when its life is at stake, all it does is stir. Similarly, when we have to give up our body, it's very difficult to remember God unless we have done that practice diligently with a lot of discipline and with a lot of conviction for most part of our life. Otherwise, it is not possible. It's a very important shloka. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so this is again one of my favorite ones, chapter 9, verse 11, 9-11. Not a good date to remember, but shloka is a good one. Who wants to take that?
Suresh Singhji.
Yes, Sureshji, please go ahead. You want me to stop share?
If you can switch.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, I will use the screen.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And Radhe Radhe. Avajananti mama mudha manusham tanu manustri tam Parbhavam jananto mam bhutam bhutmaheshwaram.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So this says avjananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam parbhavam jananto mam bhutamaheshwaram. So Lord Krishna is saying here, when he descends in his personal form, people are not able to recognize him. They do not understand the divinity of his personality as the supreme lord of all beings. So again, reiterating the concept, when God descends, he's not an ordinary mortal like us. Same thing, when Ram Bhagwan in the Swayamvar, different people were having different feelings. Somebody were thinking him of like a very handsome boy. Somebody was thinking he's so delicate. How will he lift this bow of Shiva? Somebody was thinking, he's death personified. Same thing when Lord Krishna was fighting those wrestlers in Kans, war room, then different people were having different feelings. Some was finding him very handsome, some like a kid, depending upon the feeling that they had towards God. And only when we are at a certain stature, we have the required purity and required bhakti in our heart is when we can actually understand God. It is quite possible we have seen Lord Ram, Lord Krishna as well in one of our lifetimes, but we're not able to recognize, just thought that they look like a competent boy just because we are not there yet. And Lord Krishna is saying very clearly, when he descends on his personal form, people are not able to, and it's only people who have a prayerful devotional heart can understand his true personality or the divinity of his personality. Let's move on. I know we have a big one more to cover. Okay, this is again a very beautiful one. Who wants to take that?
Nitinji, there is one question. What does it mean to surrender to God?
So we'll take a full session. We had a full 1 week session on this one. There are 6 aspects of surrender. We'll get those in detail. Maybe I'll bring it up in one of the another sessions. Surrender to God is basically aligning to God's will, not having sense of proprietorship, basically thinking everything belongs to God, and then surrendering the pride of having surrendered as well. So if we say we have surrendered, that means we are having a pride around that. So there are 6 concepts I can share. If you put the attendance tracker, I'll share those concepts with you, and we'll bring it again in one of our sessions. Quickly, who wants to take this one?
I see Chandruji's hand up.
Yes, Chandruji. Can I stop share?
Chandruji, you can unmute yourself.
Yes. Did I do it?
Yes, we can hear you, and I can see you as well.
Radhe Radhe.
Good to see you, Radhe Radhe.
Patra pushpan phalantoyan yo me bhaktya prayachati tadahan bhaktayu parhaitam ashnami prayatadmana.
Thank you, Chandruji. Very nice. So this one is again, it says, God says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktayu prihatam ashnami prayatatmana. So if all God cares for is the bhav or the devotion behind it, not what we are offering. So whether we are offering him a $1 million, garland, or we are offering him very simple thing, if the devotion or the bhav behind it matters, right? The Vidur's wife's example, she actually fed him the banana peels, not even the actual banana, the Shabri's bear. God accepts that. He says, you don't have to really invest a lot of money to serve me. All I need is the devotion or the bhav behind him. And you can offer me a leaf, a flower, or even water. I delightfully partake of that article offered with love by my devotee in pure consciousness. So pure consciousness and devotion is the key. And we really don't have to, think about anything else. That is how simplified God has simplified the devotion or the process of devotion for us. Let's move on to the next one. Now we're getting close to our last few ones. Who wants to take this one?
I see Pragi Khuranaji. Radhe Radhe. Would you like to, do you have a book or Pragi ji?
Yeah, I am having a book.
Yes,
just a second.
Yeah, sure.
Chapter 10, verse 8.
Yes.
Yeah. It's Aham Sarvasya.
Aham Sarvas, yeah.
Okay. Radhe Radhe.
Switch on your camera if you can.
Yeah, sure.
We can take some gallery pics as well. It's very rare.
Yeah, once we are done.
All the participants come, so please stick around. Okay, it'll be good to take your pictures today because this is a very rare occasion, like a full moon today. All right, please go ahead.
Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Mata Sarvam Pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bham samanvita.
Thank you very much. So let's go back to the shloka. Again, let me share my screen. All right. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. He is the origin of all creation and everything proceeds from him. And people who know this perfectly worship him in great faith and devotion. So he's the cause of all causes. Okay, anything which is without a cause is God. Okay, he's the source of all the energy and he's the cause of all the causes. That is what God is, how we can understand God. It's like an engine and nothing is pulling the engine. And God is an engine in himself, and he's the cause of all the causes and source of all the energies in this world. Let's move on to the next one. I think we're down to our last 4 now. 15, chapter 15, verse 7. Nobody wants to take that?
No, we do have few hands. I'm just
Sure. Can I stop share?
Shyamji, you can do it. Please go ahead.
Yes, Shyamji.
Mame vancho na?
Yeah, mame vancho jiva loke.
Mame vancho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana shashtanendriyani prakriti sthani karshati.
Thank you, Shyamji. Radhe Radhe. All right, so in this one, Lord Krishna is saying, Mame vancho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana shashthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. He's saying that all the embodied souls, they are eternal fragmental parts of him. Okay, we have to understand this concept. The reason we seek bliss is because God is the ocean of bliss. And in this particular shloka, he's very clearly saying that all the souls embodied in this material world are his eternal fragmental parts. Eternal means we are the same age as God. And we will continue to exist forever. We are not going anywhere. And then he says, but bound by material nature. And there, if you look at it, they're saying 6 senses. We have 5 senses, but he has included mind also as a 6th sense. Including the mind, they are struggling with the 6 senses, including the mind. That is because they are materially conditioned. Because we are under the sway of Maya, we are materially conditioned. That is why we are struggling, even though we are the eternal fragmental parts of God. And the way to break this chain or this Maya, or to get out of this the slavery of the 6 senses that we are doing, is to surrender to God. He's explained that as well. Let's move on to our next shloka. So we will do a very deep dive into each one of these shlokas. This is just to give a gist so that we can cover all the important shlokas that I could come up with for today. All right, now we are on chapter 18, towards the business end of our discussion.
Padmaji?
Yes, Padmaji.
Do you have a book or should?
No, if you can leave it definitely. I don't.
Okay.
Right
Sure.
now, I don't.
Go ahead,
have
Padmaji.
Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayi shayamima suchaha.
Thank you, Padmaji. So this one is an executive statement or executive statement of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna starts with, you are a soul. This is, this is what your duty is. If you don't do your duty, this is what is going to happen. Do your duty in proper consciousness as a sacrifice to God. Acquire knowledge, do the buddhi yoga, where arm your intellect with the right knowledge, all the stuff he's talking about. Then he gets into the gyan, knowledge, everything. And finally, he tells him, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braj aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami machucha. He said, forget about all the dharmas. Simply surrender to me and I will burn all the, I'll liberate you from all your sinful actions. Basically, he'll burn off all the stockpile of prarabdha that we have from, since time eternity. So basically what he's saying is the surrender is the final goal. Okay, rest all is a stepping stone to that. Even in Karma Yoga, you have to find surrender only. You are actually simulating that practice of surrender through your day-to-day work. And finally, when you surrender, God, as his mercy, is going to burn all of our past karmas. You don't have to exhaust them one by one in, one after another lifetime by doing perfect karma yoga. He will simply burn it off as a mercy. Very powerful shloka. Surrender is the final goal. Right. I hope Surinderji, you are there. You are hearing it as well.
And
All right.
Shruti ji has a question. She's been.
Real quick, yes, we can take. I think let's complete our shlokas. Yes, Shruti, we can take that real quick.
Yeah. I just want to ask, like, if someone dies, right, and we say that they pass on to the next body, they take a new body, but how can after they have passed away, they have taken another body, how can we sometimes feel them? Like they say that, they are always around us. How is that?
Okay, maybe there's a particular closure time, right? The soul keeps rotating around. I don't know if it's within those 13 days or whatever. And sometimes the soul, if it is so attached to the things around, it's very difficult for it to let go of it. So it can keep hovering around the places that it really loved. So that is a possibility as well. We can discuss this topic in more detail. Let's continue our shlokas for now. But yeah, that is a possibility, and that's a good question. We can discuss that in more detail in one of our sessions. Who wants to take this one?
Surinderji is there. Radhe Radhe Surinderji.
Thank you.
Radhe Radhe Surinderji.
Idam te nata pakshkaya na bhaktaya kadachana na chashu shruve vacham na cha mam yo bhavishyati.
Thank you,
Radhe Radhe.
Surinderji. So it says, Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na chashu shrushve vachyam na cha mam yobhya suyati. So Lord Krishna is saying this instruction should not be explained to those who are not austere or who are not devoted. So now it doesn't mean that we keep on talking to these things to people who have absolutely no faith. He's warning against, because he knows that it could be counterproductive. It could derail their journey further, and it could even jeopardize your journey, especially if those people are, they do not have that faith. And then he says it should also not be spoken to those who are averse to listening to spiritual topics. So we got to be careful about it. It's a delicate balance, of course. We need to inspire people, but at the same time, once we understand the other person is not interested or they do not have that faith at all, they are more critical about these things, it's better to refrain from that. And Lord Krishna is saying that very clearly in this shloka. That's why I picked it up. All right, let's get down to the last one, the icing on the cake then.
Srinathji, would you like to do it?
We are doing all right on time, just a little bit, couple of minutes over, so we did well. Yes, Srinathji, who wants to do this one? Should I stop share or?
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
1868. All right, Srinathji, you get the privilege to do this one.
Okay, I'm going to try. Thank you.
You can turn on your camera if you could, please.
Okay. Which one is this? I'm sorry, chapter 18?
Chapter 18, verse 68.
68. Okay, verse 68. Yaidam. Okay, let me turn on the camera.
You are on the spotlight, Srinathji. No pressure though.
Okay, thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Ya idam paramam griham madbhakte vashi midhasyati bhaktim mai param krutva mame vaishyatya sanshayah. Thank you.
Thank you, Srinathji. So this one is a very, very important shloka. Okay, it will inspire all of us basically who are on this path, and how we can actually contribute towards, what can make us more dear to Krishna. So he's saying, Ya idam paramam guhyam mad bhaktesh abhidasyati bhakti mai param kritva mame veshyatya sanchaya. Those who teach this most confidential knowledge amongst my devotees perform the greatest act of love. They will come to me without doubt. So in any way, we can actually help spread this message, especially to people who are receptive to it, or become an instrument to inspire somebody on this path. Okay, it could be a small seva, telling people, talking about your experience, getting them to any of the Bhagavad Gita sessions that we have on offer at JK Yog, or sharing it to your Facebook. You never know who may get inspired at any point. Okay, so actually it is helping out, and that is called the biggest charity in this world is, helping somebody on the spiritual path, because you can give money to somebody, it will exhaust. You can give food to somebody, they'll feel hungry again. But if you can give just a small push to any soul, you might have actually helped them, I don't know how many lifetimes. Okay, so this is a very, very important shloka. I mean, I derive a lot of inspiration from it. Even a small change in anybody's life, if we can bring it about, because this is so powerful, can actually draw a lot of God's grace. So that is why I say, seek out seva opportunities any way, directly, indirectly, small, big, if we can get associated with it and we can, help somebody along the way, nothing like it. So seek out opportunities and draw inspiration from this one. So I know we were just a little bit over, but I think we did well, given that we covered about 18 plus 1, 19 shlokas. Open it up. How was your experience? Maybe we can do this. May not be 18 shlokas. It's very tiring for me. We can do maybe 5 or 10 really powerful verses once in a while. I think it really helps, and especially the ones which are very, very important. With that, I'll open it up and maybe we can take a few pictures together. Gallery view, if somebody can help me out with that. I don't have a good, does anybody have a big screen who can take a picture and then, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you would have, so please help me out on that. And let's hear out how was the experience today. We completed 1 year, so it's a pretty amazing journey. Would like to hear from all of you. How's it been, and what do you think about this kind of a session, once in a while, if we were to do that?
Radhe Radhe Surendraji, please go ahead.
Radhe. 4.34 and 18.68, they are all aiming at special souls like Nitin Kaushalji. We are so blessed that we have people similar to Nitinji, that we are getting all this, and the Lord is always all praise for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Surendraji. However much I would love to believe or like to believe that what you said is actually true, but I'm also one like you only. It just gives me energy when I'm sitting with you guys, and it's because of Swamiji's inspiration, whatever little I can do. But I think it all goes back to the energy of all the participants, which we are able to feed off each other and inspire each other as well. So I owe it back to all of you for your continuous support, and the fact that, like I always say, 60 minutes is a lot of time, right? And a lot of you have been there from day one, I've seen. And
18.68 is very clearly without doubt. They will come to me without doubt.
Without doubt, yeah.
Just statement of the Lord.
That is true. So that is the hope, Surendraji. So hopefully we can walk each other home on that path.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything. Thank you. All right. Anything else anybody wanted to about the session itself? You think it was good, or it was very fast tracked? I know it was a bit of a crash course today.
Prithiji, you can go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe Amritavaniji. It has been a wonderful, wonderful 1 year. Definitely a great one. I don't think I would have understood. Oh, it is a very much overstatement, but I would have gotten a speck of a speck of a speck of the Bhagavad Gita without these sessions. And Amritavaniji, your smile, always in love with that. Thank you, Nitinji. Lots of care and respect your way. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Preetiji. You always have a lot of generous comments coming our way, which is very, very motivating for us. And it has been a pleasure and an honor having you on these sessions. I always look up to you for advice and all the help that you give. So it has been, and this has given me an opportunity to know so many people, that I talk to and get to know and get inspired from. So it has been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me as well, all throughout. And it is first of many years to come. Okay, at least it's going to be a half a dozen year journey at least. But what we'll do is we'll pick up some powerful verses, 5, 10 quick short, so that you don't feel, hey, by the way, I have to wait for the next 6 years to get to the gist of 18th chapter. We'll make sure that you continue to get, that and some of those crux of those chapters as well, including along with the deep dives that we do per verse every chapter. And I hope somebody's taking pictures today, because it's very rare. We have a blue moon, and today is a blue moon occasion. So thank you everybody for turning on your cameras. and really encourage you to register for the Bhagavad Gita Summit that is coming up. Like I said, very amazing list of speakers that are going to come up in that. And I think we can derive a lot of wisdom from their experience, how Bhagavad Gita has transformed their life and how they have drawn inspiration in their day-to-day life through this wonderful scripture that we have as a gift, from God.
Nitinji, if you can stop sharing the screen, probably I can take pictures from my cam, or I can ask Hasmita to take a.
Sure, I will stop. What do I need to do? I have stopped share, haven't I yet?
I can see.
Okay. Let me stop share. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yes.
A lot of faces I'm seeing for the first time. I'll look at the picture next time and remember, okay, next time I'm hearing a voice. Okay, this is
Okay, we will just keep talking. Hasmita, she'll be taking pictures. I put her in another laptop.
Please keep talking for next at least 2 minutes, okay, so that we take enough pictures.
Oh, okay, Rupaji has taken and she said that she's posted. Thank you, Rupaji.
I saw Neelamji as well. Neelamji, you need to put your camera on once more. You came, you smiled and you left, okay? That's not fair. By the way, Neelamji is my mother-in-law, okay? That is why I'm kidding around with her.
Oh, okay, let me. Radhe Radhe, Neelamji.
Radhe Radhe, Amritwani ji, Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji.
Good to see you all. I wish I had a bigger screen. I use such a small laptop, I don't even get to see all this in one shot, but I'm sure I'll see it in the pictures. Any other feedback or things, it has been a wonderful journey all along. You think this kind of a session, was it overwhelming to do so many shlokas in one shot, or you think maybe we can take a subset of it once in a while?
Okay, let me give it to Samji.
Radhe, like Sundari said, okay, so you got the ticket for the Golok. You're 18.68 because you are the teaching knowledge to everybody, like you said, and that means you are a short shot. You are going to him.
Wow.
So there's no doubt about that. You got the ticket.
It's a long way to go, Samji, right, if you ask me honestly. But yes, at least Swamiji has presented this opportunity, and it's up to us how best we can make use of it. There's still a long way to go for sure.
And that is very interesting. I've been with you, I think, from the beginning itself, and I really enjoyed it. But there are certain times and certain things which they go above our head. But anyway, you make it a lot easier to some extent, at least to ignorant people like me. Another thing I want to. Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Another thing I want to say that other day I talked to somebody at JK Yog that I'll be donating some books, maybe about 5 books. And on the second thought, I said, okay, I'll go for the 10 books. The money will be coming from my charity. And out of that, maybe 6 books can go to the persons I know in my area. Is it possible? And they said they will be letting me know. So I don't know anything.
Sure.
Will be coming from my charity.
If you have sponsored it, I will check with the person who's got it. Because Boliodia is fine, but I think Neelamji, you need to put yourself on mute. Okay.
Sorry, I muted. Sorry about that.
Okay, so yeah, Samji, it's a right question to a wrong person, but I'll definitely check it out from whoever is coordinating that, how we can facilitate, especially if you have somebody in mind to get those books sent over to.
Yeah, see, out of that, 4 or 5 can go to local people, whatever they decided, but 4 or 5 can go to persons I know in my area.
Okay, sure.
And the money, like I said, when I became an esteemed member, when Swamiji came here,
sure.
Money went to the charity thing, but I haven't got the information. It's the wrong information to the wrong person right now. But anyway, I'm just conveying.
I'll check with the admins, and hopefully, somebody will revert to you shortly on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I can see quite a few other hands raised as well.
Hitalji, a small request, those who haven't opened their cameras, please do turn it on so that I will request my daughter to just take some pics.
Yeah, please.
See some of them not switched on their turn on.
It will be wonderful if all of you can, as best as possible. We'll take pictures and frame it forever. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, I would love to do that. Before I turn on the camera, Nitinji, was a great opportunity to know you actually through somehow. And it's been a great pleasure. I've been joining since last 2 weeks and I'm enjoying so far. It's tremendously. Not only that, but you are inspirations for others to start learning Gita, right? At least to know our scripture. Learning is through sloka. My one recommendation or my suggestion, I would say, is we can do. Let's the last time you remember the keywords like bhakti, bhakti yoga, then keywords such as what was it, gunas, right? Those are the words. If we can emphasize more on some of the lectures, or even specifically have a session on those, right? So which will be more kind of conscious about it. And from there onwards, like we can see how we can progress on. Learning sloka is obviously good. And second of all is like, let's say in the next session, what
did we lose you?
Prepare, right? Kind of things, at least know what you are going to. So we have a actively participation as well, along with our, intellectual, we can start using it.
Sure. Typically, we go in a sequential manner, so you would know which verse we are on. There are exceptions to that. Very rarely we do, because we do some recap sessions. Like on Tuesdays, I keep experimenting around it because I don't know because unless I receive feedback, I will not know what is working and what needs to be improvised. Because Kahoot we used to do, but I saw that not everybody was participating. So now we have started picking up some of the key concepts and having a good discussion on those in Tuesday sessions. But typically we go in a sequence, so you would always know what to expect in an upcoming session. And that is how we go with. And check out our portal. Portal has all the updates. I try to upload it as best as I can on a regular basis. And if you have other suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me or put it in attendance tracker. I look at that feedback just to get a sense of what is working well, what is not. So just spare a minute or so after every session to put in a feedback. That helps. And even if it's just that, all right, the session was all right, that is good enough. Because I typically look at it when I get time and see if there is a running theme that I'm getting from everyone, based on which I can make some tweaks in the sessions. And if it is a particular topic, like you said, some of the topics like anger management, Karam Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, surrender, we will keep revisiting from time to time, because those are key concepts and they will be reiterated throughout our throughout the course of this study. Are you getting enough snaps, or we have few more?
We have taken some snaps. Yeah, I've taken it and I will share it in
wonderful
the group.
Anybody else who wanted to share anything?
Yeah, we do have few hands raised. So
sure. Let's hear from everybody.
Sure,
who wants to
definitely.
share a couple of minutes.
Sunitji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yes,
Radhe 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 Radhe. Nitinji, I have not spoken anything on this platform, and still I am feeling thirsty. Really, you are. I can feel how you are feeling. You will be feeling. Are you not feeling thirsty at all? So this is really, you have got a blessings from the God, and I have got the mind. You have said that mind keeps playing on me. There is one shloka of 18.68. I think that implies to me today. In yesterday, in India it is winter now. Getting up in the morning, it's really it's challengeable. So these devotions keep coming and going. That is I learned today. And second thing, that shloka 18.68 that you said sleeping for 4 or 5 years, then coming up in 1 year and win the Olympics. So that was keep going in my head. Sunit, you can do bhakti later on when your daughters get married. So that was my mind playing tricks on me. So I got that answer today in itself. So really, this is a wonderful, wonderful session. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Sunitji. I love your enthusiasm around it. Every session you try to pick up a nugget and then try to apply it. And I've seen that multiple times. So it's very inspiring. Thank you. It's a great privilege to have you on this session. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. And I must say, see, all this stuff you might think I'm saying all that, so trust me, I just reiterate what Swamiji has told. Okay, that too I cannot do a full justice to it. So it's all his inspiration and Guru's grace. Sometimes I don't know what I'm speaking. Okay, so don't think I'm saying so. I'm just like one of you, and on this path maybe a lot what do you call, having a lot of lag, so to say. But I'm one of, I consider myself fortunate that I got this seva because of Swamiji and because of this platform, and hopefully I can do justice to it and make the most of it, because it is something special I feel every day, and you all make it even more special. So thank you everybody for that. Yes, quite a few other hands are raised as well.
Padmaji.
See, it's a weekend for me tomorrow, so I can go on.
Radhe Radhe.
And I'm disowned by my people at home, so nobody bothers me anyways.
Radhe Radhe. Amritwanji. Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you. Radhe.
So nature has its way to bring people and you in like a perfect set, like a right configuration of set of people like Nitinji and Amritavani and Swamiji, right? It is looking after you, and it knows exactly what to play with you, what not to play with you, where to place it, and who to place in your life, and when to place in your life. And that's what Suniji was explaining, right? That's how nature works. Like it is like constantly looking at you and watching over you, right? So to talk about, like, we are taking each verse every day, so you get to enjoy the beauty of the each pearl. But in the bigger picture, the session like today is like just to see how when you put all these pearls together, how that necklace would look. So you got a bigger picture. Oh, this is how beautiful it's going to look. So now people are curious, like they would be waiting for something beautiful to come, so something to look for. It's worth the wait, I guess. That is my bigger picture. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much, Padmaji. I always look to your insights. They're very deep. Sometimes I wonder, how do you generate such thoughts in such a short span of time? And whenever you speak, you say 2 things or 3 things. So it's not usually one. And you're able to generate it. It's very, 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 very insightful. So keep it up. And I love reading what you put on a regular basis. Just keep it going. And privileged to have you on these sessions. Thank you very much.
Srinathji, please go ahead.
Yes, Srinathji.
Hello, Radhe Radhe Nitinji.
Radhe Radhe, Srinathji.
I don't have any words in terms of how I can thank you for these sessions. I mean, this is such an excellent, you are such an inspiration to all of us. It's hard to believe that it's 1 year has passed by already. Each of your sessions, I think I've not attended all of them, I must say that. But each of the sessions that I have attended, there's always something new that I have gained knowledge, insight, and understanding. And your slides, I mean, just amazing in terms of the information that they convey, the completeness of the knowledge that it shows in terms of, profoundly impacting me, and I believe others as well. Also, I appreciate that the time that you take. You make sure that each of the participants, they get to say what they have to say. So your patience is really appreciable, and but you get full credit for all of these things. But you get partial credit for your smile, because the full credit goes to Amritwani ji. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Srinathji, I have a theory. Okay, 80% of the people come for Amritwani ji's smile. Okay, 20% Gita session. So, but thank you for your kind and generous words. It's like I said, I have a full-time job too, but when I do these sessions, or when I prepare for these sessions in between my meetings and my office work, I really find it very refreshing, and something drives me to do it, or getting an idea. So, and then, if you have to become an employee of Krishna, you better be good at it. Okay. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get fired there. That is the biggest motivation. But yeah, thank you for your kind words. And like I said,
Absolutely.
it is all Swamiji's blessings, inspiration. Otherwise, this is a pretty humongous project. If you ask me honestly, somebody would have told me to do that a year back, I would have developed cold feet. Okay, sitting Bhagavad Gita, anybody
Yeah.
can ask anything, and it's such a profound topic. It's not an easy thing. But then
Yeah.
Guru's grace, they give you the idea, inspiration, thought, and the right kind of tool sets where you can survive. And in the process, if people are getting helped, it's such a huge satisfaction along the way. So I hope it continues, and I continue to be a profitable servant of Krishna, in coming years as well. That's all I
Yes.
can tell you.
My only suggestion is, if the time can be changed to a little bit earlier time. The only reason is because I'm in the East Coast, and that's the reason I'm not able to attend all the sessions. But that is just a suggestion.
I know. See, I love when March comes because it becomes easier for everyone. But this time thing is it's like that.
Yeah.
Bollywood movies, right? Those conflicts happen on Friday. It's very difficult. It's like moving a mountain, but I will check it out. If I could move it to 8 p.m. Okay, if Ajay or somebody is listening to me, sorry, okay, in advance. I'll explore that, because everybody wants to have that prime slot of 8 p.m.
Yes.
I'll see how best it can. Or the other option could be at least have the recordings played from time to time. See, the deterrent there is where people will not attend. They'll say, okay, we'll watch the recording. The live session, that energy that
The live sessions are the best ones.
we'll see what best we can do. Srinathji, it's always the case. I had Manekji, she requested me, she joins from UK. She wakes up at 3 a.m. for this. So it's brutal for her, right? But then it would be a trade-off always, but we'll try what best can be done. But yeah, shifting time, I will not bank too much on it at this, but we'll see what are the alternates we can work around that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback.
Sure.
Real quick, we can do that. See, Amrutavaniji's smile, I don't want that smile turns into a frown because it's already 10:30. Amrutavaniji, you okay to go, or you can move on? I can close the session if you have to.
Yeah, we will take whoever have raised.
Okay, a few more hands. Let's take that and complete it, because it's a weekend and we are so happy we completed 1 year. So that's why I'm going.
Please, no problem. Shruti
If you want to drop off, feel free to.
Shruti ji. Hi, Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe, Shruti.
Hello Amritwani ji and Nitin. And can I say a quick hello to Neelam aunty as well? She's mother of my friend Anima and Nitin's wife. Yeah, so I saw her after a very long time. So hello aunty. Okay, so my thoughts on that were before I joined this session, which is 6 months ago, I had a very messy, my head was like a messy drawer. So after I joined these sessions, this is like overwhelming. Okay, so after I joined this session, it's like yeah, now I can think things through, and it's peaceful. And I like when apart from the wisdom from what Nitin shares, and I like it when participants share their thoughts. It feels like a family. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Very rightly said, Shruti. It feels like an extended family, even though I don't get to see all the faces, but that feel is always there. Okay, I'm going to meet a big group who will be, I'll be spending the next 60 minutes with them. So that feeling is always there. And I'm glad, Shruti, you joined these sessions. I always tell Arnima that one good thing you have done in life is, telling some of your friends to come over. And one of her friend, it's probably just you, has started coming to these sessions. I don't think anybody else has. Ishu started working with me as well. So that's fantastic. Hope you can continue on this journey. And I can see, that passion, started reciting and stuff like that as well. So really wonderful and great to have you on these sessions. So do continue. It'll get better with time. Thank you very much. All right. Last few hands.
Yeah, Nitinji, there is a question. Are you not feeling thirsty? Do ask Nitinji also. He's not feeling thirsty. I want an answer.
Thirsty means the actual thirst with water, you're saying?
Yes.
No, I mean, I think I had a glass of water before starting this session, but I will feel thirsty after next 6 minutes. Okay, after 3 more hands are covered, so then I'll feel thirsty.
I have it next to me, Sunitji, always. So, Sureshji, please go ahead, Radhika.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe Amritavani. So, like, I will stick to the question that you had about today's session, about the number of slokas. So today's session definitely inspired me to read Bhagavad Gita because like at one time somebody had asked why should we go to the temple. Swamiji had answered that people assemble together, the prayer becomes X folds. So if we read it together, our knowledge becomes much more than what we start with. So that's my thought, and thank you for bringing everybody together and reading, giving you to read.
Thank you, Sureshji. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from southern, California,
okay,
by San Francisco.
Great to have you. Hope you can continue on these sessions. Yes, it has a big impact actually. The collective consciousness plays a role as well. So when we go to temple, the vibes are different. Similarly, if you go to a casino, I've been to Vegas, those vibes will be different. So our mind, actually, it becomes more conducive when we are in a satsang or with a collective vibe, which is conducive for our mind. So it definitely plays on our mind. And that is why you get those sattvic thoughts and nice thoughts and tranquility, peace, all those things start coming when you are in a temple or Gurudwara or whichever holy place you go to. That is very true.
Yeah, you mentioned Vegas. I just returned today from the AWS conference today. So
we used to have it to our KPM. I was in KPMG. We used to go to Vegas. I mean, that used to be a trip forced upon me. I didn't want to go there. I've been there so many times, you know. But anyways, yeah, I get that. So thank you so much, Sureshji. Pleasure to have you on these sessions.
Thank you, Sureshji. Rupaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe,
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Yeah. First of all, this session was wonderful, Nitinji, and I'm just beginner. As I said, I just joined maybe a month or 40 days back. So first of all, thanks to my sister Lakshmi Prasanna, who inspired me to join your classes. And she was back off piece since many days, but maybe the time has to come, so I just joined. And especially as you said, we have to donate, or we have to give that knowledge to someone to change their life. And you are the person who are changing many one's life. So you are blessed, I can say, with your classes and whatever it is. Like, it's very inspiring. I wait for this class to attend. But switching on the camera may not be possible every time, because in India it is the breakfast time. We have to struggle with that. So it's really wonderful. And I would love, actually, I just started my spiritual journey. I mean, maybe the first step I stepped, and I want every one of you in this class, like in this session, you are the extended family. So everyone can help each other to make our path a better one, and to move in a proper way.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Pleasure to have you on
Radhe.
Session, Rupaji. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lakshmiji, for introducing your sister. You get a lot of spiritual commission for that, okay? And for all the good things you said about our, I wish I could have taken that credit, but I can't. The credit goes to Swamiji, okay? For all the stuff that I'm able to deliver. So it all goes to where it truly belongs. But thank you, and I hope you can continue with this journey. And like you said, within few days, when we actually attend something like this, that is how powerful Bhagavad Gita is. You could start seeing the difference in your thought process, in the way you look at things around. That is how powerful it is. And the burden that we carry in our head, it eventually starts lessening gradually. You start becoming more free. Thank you so much.
Actually, Bhagavad Gita, whenever someone says, have you gone through this? So I used to feel Bhagavad Gita, it's very difficult. But when I started attending your classes, I feel like, oh, even I can understand Bhagavad Gita in the way you explain, or the slides you show, or the videos you show me. Like, it makes me feel that it is very easy to understand, or I can really give a try to understand that Bhagavad Gita, and I'm blessed. to be in your class.
Thank you so much, Rupaji. In fact, I'm trying to simulate the same experience that I underwent. I tried reading it and I used to find it so difficult. Unless I came across, Swamiji's books and then listening to his lectures, and said he simplified it so much. And then if it is simplified for me, I try to present it exactly the same way and see how best, and I'm glad you are resonating with it. And this journey is going to be wonderful. It is something really special that we are up to, and you'll realize it's just 1 year or few months for you. By the time we complete it, you would remember, you will be able to really call out the version that you started off with and the version that you feel of yourself. There's a huge difference. That is how powerful this knowledge is. Thank you so much, Rupaji.
Thanks a lot. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you so much.
Lakshmi.
All right. Lakshmiji, I think you are Rupaji's sister, if I were to guess.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
See, I knew
that. Thank you so much. So my only suggestion is, can you stress upon the slokas, as we can't recite or remember all the slokas. Can you stress out or notify us the slokas which we have to remember or frequently chant, or when we are talking to someone, we can cite that sloka example in explaining to something, especially to the kids, so that it will be useful. So that's only my suggestion regarding this program. Sure. And I'm very glad I started this journey in this platform from 2.62. So initial 10 days, 15 days, it was like bouncing my head. Like, why have I joined? Can I continue? Can I sustain? Can I understand? So many questions were going on in my mind. So by the end of 10 days session and all, then I thought, okay, now I thought I'm on the track. So now I'm very happy. And I told to my couple of friends also, they said, okay, it takes time for me to join Bhagavad Gita. It's a big one. Is it right time to join? So however, I counseled them. One of my friend has completed her reading by herself.
Wonderful.
And she said, I'm not satisfied. Still, I need some more. Then I said, you join this platform. Then I sent her link. Hope she'll also join shortly.
Sure.
So thank you. It's an awesome, and it is helping me change in my thinking and my steps of doing my work. And positively, I'm making myself, and hope it will continue to help me more in my life. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Lakshmi Prasannaji. Always reassuring to know that what you are doing is actually making a difference. And that was the whole idea, to disseminate this knowledge that has been so wonderfully and simply explained to us by Swamiji. And it is reaching out and it's making a difference. That it itself is very reassuring and satisfying. And like I said, by the end of this whole journey, you will know these shlokas at the back of your head. Somebody will say this, you'll say go to 4.9. Somebody will say you'll go to 2.6.3. We'll make sure it happens, okay? And we'll give you some of the key shlokas that you can quote and cite to kids, especially. They are very logical, rational, scientific temperament, right? So we'll discuss all the tools so that you can have a very good conversation with people around and with kids around. And that way you don't have to feel defensive, by the way, this doesn't make sense to me, kind of a deal. So we'll keep on reiterating those tools, and especially some shlokas as well, that this is like we did today. We will keep on creating some packages saying this is where you go for this reference and all. And those kind of things will keep coming in our sessions as well. So thank you again, Lakshmi ji. I think we covered all the participants, or are there any closing words from anybody? I think Shyamji has some, and then Amritavani ji, thank you for all your patience.
It's okay.
By the way, 700 shlokas, do register for that. We are going to recite it on the last day of Gita Summit. Do register for that if you want to do that. And especially if you're in Dallas, definitely do that.
Yeah, Nitin, that's for people in Dallas. So anybody in Dallas, I posted the link so you can register for that.
What I meant to them was take a flight to Dallas and then,
yes, please
participate as well.
Yes, please do come. Go ahead, Shyamji.
Yes, Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe. Since as I told you earlier also कि मैं इस आपके साथ हूँ from day one, and I feel so blessed and privileged to be part of this group, and I wish and I hope this never ends. And I sometimes feel कि भगवान ने बहुत कम बोले हैं श्लोका, शायद और बोले होते तो हम लोग इसको पढ़ते हैं जीवन में, पढ़ते रहते जीवन भर. So but whatever we have, we should be happy with that. And the way you presented it, Nitin bhai, as they all have said earlier also, it is commendable, and the way you say, the way you feel, it's awesome. It's hats off to you, and God bless you always. Radhe Radhe.
So I'll accept that with all humility. Thank you, Shyamji. You know, I always say if anybody can give Amrutawani ji a run for her money with her smile, that is you, okay? And you are the one who always turn on your camera, and it's always very good to see your smiling face when I start off the session. So I must say that, okay. So thank you so much, Shyamji, for all that, and I look forward to meeting you on one of the days, okay, whenever I come to India. That's definitely on. And I'll definitely engage Palin. Stay tuned on that. He's a very special boy, and we will get him enabled on something, okay.
Nitinji, like we have school reunions, we should have daily wisdom reunions.
We should have. I tell you, maybe in India we could do that, but then if you ever come to US, come to RKT, that's a sure shot place to have that reunion. Good to see you, Palin. A lot of videos I'm sending your way, okay, and we'll work together on those. But we should have some kind of a reunion, maybe in India. We'll see how it works out. It'll be good to see.
Nitinji, one quick comment. It's from Kanishka ji. She's asking you the question. Nitin sir, how do you manage to keep yourself humble? Actually, whenever I share such spiritual things with others, I automatically get pride in myself, a feeling like, yes, I am more intelligent than them. I just want to know the gem of wisdom you use to keep yourself humble. Radhe Radhe.
Okay, I'm not humble, okay, let me tell you that. I don't know, I mean, if I come across humble, that's a good thing. At least I'm practicing. Obviously, I'm not there. If that was the case, then it is, you've already reached perfection. But the thing is, what I try to keep behind my head always is that, see, this thing is just the very ability to be able to speak is not something coming from me. Okay, this is all the knowledge that Swamiji has given. Maharaj has enabled me because I'm doing that. I know it. If you ask me honestly, I'm not saying it for the sake of saying it. When I say things, there are things I'm saying, even I don't know why I said those. Okay, so those ideas, thoughts, inspiration, I pray actually before I sit on these sessions that anything that comes out of my mouth should have some kind of a beneficial effect on people around, right? So maybe that helps. But other than when I'm not in Gita session, I don't know if people consider me humble or not. Amrutawani ji would know it better when she meets me in temple or otherwise. But
he's always humble. He's always.
Okay, all right. So, but yeah, I mean, I think one thing that helps is think about, why is it happening? Where is this coming from? And I don't think I have the ability to pull this session off without Guru's grace and without the inspiration that Swamiji gives. I just don't have that ability, and I keep on reminding myself that the day their grace or that thing is pulled away, I will not be able to utter a word. I know that for sure. You know what, this Arjun's example, I always keep that at the back of my mind. Arjun, after the Mahabharat war was over, he and Krishna had closed his pastimes on this earth. So he was coming through a jungle and ordinary tribals were able to beat him. And that is when he realized it was not him. It was Krishna's power, which was supplementing him, which was making him such a great warrior. So we are nothing actually, if you look at it. And if we lose that part, whatever abilities that we have will diminish away. That thing is always at the back of my mind. Maybe that keeps me grounded, because this knowledge is something I know I'm not capable of, but whatever ideas come, whatever inspiration I get, whatever piece of knowledge come from some quarter, it is all through God's grace. Okay, are we good then for the closing prayers?
Last but not least, thank you so much. Let me thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Nitinji. The day of Gita Jayanti, if you wouldn't have said that about this session, I don't know, how I came into this co-hosting for your session. So thank you so much for that. And yes, we can end.
Pleasure to have you, Amrutawani ji. The other day when I had some technical glitch, the way you pulled it off, that session, you can think on feet, and your smile makes up for most of the things, right? 80% of the people still come for your smile. Okay, I'll stick to that.
Thank you so much, Nitinji.
Everybody, Radhe Radhe, have a wonderful weekend. Do register for Gita Summit, and we can do our closing prayers and stay blessed and have a great weekend ahead. Let's do our closing prayers then. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, मा कश्चित् दुःख भाग् भवेत्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone. And I'll try to pull out the video for this one and post it. I know we had a lot of good discussion and a lot of recitations, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. And thank you, everybody. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Sunil ji. Thank you, Anish ji.
Thank you, Sunil Bhai. Thank you, Anish. Everyone. Sunit ji, Padma ji, Suresh ji, Radhe Radhe.
I'm closing the bridge now. Thank you, everyone.